Hi everyone. I am going to record this video on how to do the second lab, and I hope that you don't have problems or that you encounter any technical obstacle. If you do, Maria Camila is going to be during class time solving the questions regarding the lab, okay? Good. Okay, so I'm going to start by sharing my screen. Okay, excellent. So the first thing that you have to do is to download. So here we are in eAulas, in our course, right? Under Lab 2, March 31st. And here you have the instructions. It's the Global Terrorism Dataset Activity. So please download the two files, the dataset in Excel format and the codebook in PDF. So the first thing that you have to do is to download these files, the Global Terrorism Dataset here and the codebook right here. And if you haven't done so, you should first take a look to what this dataset is about. So take a look to it, download it, and take a look. What are the columns? What are the rows? What is this information about? What is this data set telling us? How many rows are there? So stop the video and take a calm look to this data set, okay? Same thing to the code book. So the code book includes, where is the code book? Okay, I'm going to download the code book again. So what is a code book? A code book is a document that tells us what are the characteristics of the dataset. What is the dataset about? So code book, inclusion criteria and variables. So I highlighted in yellow the parts of the code book that you should read, okay? So take a look to it, understand what is this about. So GDT definition of terrorism and inclusion criteria. So take a look to that, and also take a look to the description of all the variables that I have included in the dataset. I deleted a lot of variables that we are not going to use during the lab, and those that we will use are highlighted in yellow. So take a look to the yellow variables, read the description, and understand what is this about. Stop the video and do that if you haven't done so. If you already did that, then we can continue, okay? So we are going to move on. Please download this Word document, which is the answer sheet and the tutorial. The tutorial is going to give us the step-by-step guide on how to do that, and the answer sheet gives us the document that we need to use right here to include our questions, our answers. Okay, so here we are going to have the answer sheet, and here we are going to have the tutorial, okay? Good. So, and here I'm going to minimize this document, and that's it. So this is the answer sheet. So the first task, or task 0, is the following. The dataset includes information of terrorist attacks from 2012 to 2015. Each row is one terrorist attack, and the columns gave information on each terrorist attack. So for instance, let's go back to the dataset. Here we have event ID is the ID number that they give to each terrorist attack. It gives us the year, it gives us the number of the month, the number of the day, the country, a code for each country, and the text of each country. Then we have the region and the text of the region. We have the province, the city in which this happened, and a summary. Here you can read, for instance, in this case, let's take a look to this first event. So the first event says the following. A grenade was thrown into a shop on Joint Road, Quetta City, Balochistan Province, Pakistan. 12 people were injured in the blast and damage was done to a number of nearby shops. No group claimed responsibility for the attack. So it's amazing. Here we have thousands and thousands of terrorist attacks and the description of each terrorist attack. We have the inclusion criteria, which you can read in the PDF. We have the type of attack. We have a number, and also we have the text. So we have different types like bombing, assault, hostage taking, assassination, etc. We have the target type, which can be business, military, private citizens, property, government, etc., etc. You can find the different possibilities in the code book as well. We have a target subtype. So if it's business, for instance, a subtype is restaurant, bar, cafe, and you can also read those descriptions in the code book. Here we have the name of the group that did the attack, like Al-Shabaab or the Taliban or the Democratic Front for the Liberation of Rwanda. We have here the text of the motive. We have the type of weapon that was used in the attack, like explosives or firearms or incendiary. And again, you can, or I invite you to go to the PDF and search the description of these types. What are the types? What are the different possibilities? We have the weapon subtype. So in the case in which we have, for instance, an explosives, bombs, dynamite, we have as a subtype the grenade. Here we have the number of people that was killed. And these are other categories that refer to number of particular people that were killed, US people. This one I don't remember, but you can find it in the code book. The number of people wounded, if there was property damage, the extent of property damage. And here we have comments and the quotations from where the data set take the information. So here, this is the global terrorist data set. It's a very complete data set of terrorist events. So let's go back to our answer sheet. The first task is ask you to think on a table, on an abstract table that summarizes or aggregates in whatever form you want some information of the data sets and include it here. So again, you don't need to put the data, like the numbers inside. What you need to do is to give us, like to imagine a table. So, okay, we have this super big table. I want to summarize it by this and this criteria, or I want to know this and this type of things. So imagine in abstract a possible table that you would do to give that information, to summarize or aggregate the information of the data set. I don't want you to repeat the data set, okay? I don't want you to do the same data set all over again. I want you to summarize some way the information of the data set. So that is task number one. Stop the video, do that, and then we can continue. Okay, so here we are going to move on to table number one. So we are going to start to look at the tutorial. So table number one asks us the following. How many people have been killed in all terrorist attacks included in the dataset per country each year? So again, the first task demands you, ask you, how should the table look like? Like draw here an empty table showing how this table must look. How the table must look so that you provide the information that is requested. How many people have been killed in all terrorist attacks per country per year, okay? So again, you don't need to do anything in Excel. You just need to think theoretically to say insert and include the table. I don't know how many rows, how many columns you're going to need, maybe 3 and 3, maybe it's a different number, and type here, you know, these are the rows, these are the columns, and here we are going to have this, this, and that, and here we are going to include whatever, whatever, whatever. So give me theoretically how the table should look like, okay? After you are done, we can continue. Stop the video and do task number 1. Okay, we're going to continue with task number 2. Task number 2 is the following. Include here the first 10 countries with more fatalities. So, here we have the tutorial. So number 1 is click insert table and then pivot table, tabla dinámica, which is going to be found right here. I'm going to do it. File, insert table, insert table. I'm sorry, not there. Insert. I got confused because I'm using a different computer. Insert, and here, pivot table, okay? You have it right here. So click on that. Okay, the next step of the tutorial is the create pivot table dialog window appears, and then double check the range. The range, what is the range? What is the information that must be included in the pivot table? So it has to start from A1, which is exactly the first cell right here, until AV 52135, which is the last column, last row. So we are going to include all the information of the data set in this pivot table. And we are going to tell Excel to place the pivot table in a new worksheet. Okay, I'm going to click OK. And now we have a new worksheet, a new sheet in which I'm going to do the pivot table. Okay, let's go back to the tutorial. You will see this. So this is what you are going to see. So here is where the table is going to be included, and here it's the pivot table fields that it's going to help you build the pivot table. Okay. So for this particular task, the first question asks how many people have been killed in all terrorist attacks per country per year. Okay. So this means that our table should have countries in each row. So in each row, we need to have country number 1, country number 2, country number 3. And in the columns, we need to have the years. That is the easier way to do this table. You could also do the countries in the columns, but then you would have a lot of countries and you will not be able to see all the table. It's better if you have the countries in the rows and the years in the columns. So let's get started. So we are going to find in the field name the country. Right here we have country text. So you're going to drag country text to the rows. And you see, now we have all the countries, we have them here. Okay, we need to put more information on that table. We need to put the years on that table, right? So I'm going to put a year, I'm going to put the columns. So we have 2002, 2012, 13, 14, 15, and the grand total. And what is the data that we need to include here? So let's go back to the question. The question is asking us how many people have been killed, right? So what is the variable that tells us about killed people? The variable that tells us about killed people, yeah, you are right, is this variable right here, the number of people killed and killed. And we are going to drag that to the values, because the values is the value that we need to include inside the table, right? So take a look to the results. We have countries, and per each country, we have numbers here. So some of you will have here, instead of sum of and kill, you will get, it will look more like this. It will look like the count of and kill. So you need to change this to the sum, because if you have the count, what Excel is going to do is that it's going to count the number of times that there are people being killed, like the number of cells in which there is a number different than 0. And we don't want that. What we want Excel to do is to sum all those numbers, right? To sum all those people killed in Afghanistan. So you're going to click this small I right here, and you're going to change here, instead of count, you're going to put sum. And there are a few other options right here, but we need the sum. Click OK. And now we have the table of all the people that were killed all the years in each country. So here we have already the table, okay? But it task number 2 asks us the following: include here the first 10 countries with more fatalities. So we don't want to do that manually. We don't want to start looking at, okay, so Afghanistan had 18,000, and then, oh, another big number here. Oh, look, Iraq, 31,000. Oh, that's larger. Okay, let's find the 10 countries. No. We don't want to do that manually. We are going to go to the tutorial and ask the solution on how to order or organize a table. So we have already done this, okay? So we need to order the countries by the amount of people killed. So clicking this small arrow next to row labels, so this is small arrow right here, click in sort by and select sum of and kill, and then click in descending. So we are going to do that. So click on this small arrow like here, right here. So this is an option as you use it in Excel, like to organize or to sort the table. So we are going to tell this, we are going to tell Excel to sort the table by what? By what? Well, by the sum of and kill, right? And we are going to tell him that to order the countries in the descending order. That means the biggest first, the bigger number, and the smaller number last. So I'm going to click here, descending. I have selected all countries here, right? Because I want to have all countries. So descending. Okay, now we have the table in the descending order. So I want you guys to select the first 10 rows and paste the information in the answer sheet, okay? Okay. Insert the answer here. Task number 3, in which position is Colombia? How many fatalities did Colombia have per year in total? So find Colombia and include the question. Or the other option you can do is that you're going to click the same arrow right here, right? You're going to click select all so that everything is unselected, and then you're going to find Colombia. Good, here is Colombia. Find Colombia, and then there you have it. There you have the information on Colombia. So include that here. Okay, now let's going to move to table number 2. Table number 2 asks us the following: how many people died in non-suicide attacks and suicide attacks per country? So the first thing that we are going to do is to go to the code book. So go to the code book, find the variable suicide attacks, and understand how is that variable included in the data set. What does a 0 mean and what does a 1 mean, okay? So go there, understand what this means, and stop the video And when you are done with it, start the video again. Okay, so let's get it started. So, how many people died in non-suicide attacks all in total, all countries? How many people died in suicide attacks? So, let's get that moving. So to start a new table, clean the pivot table fields by dragging out of the fields the things that you have selected. So you have a bunch of things here. I want you to drag this out, drag this out, drag this out. Okay, now we have the clean table. After it's all clean, drag suicide to the columns box. And I'm going to find suicide. Suicide, here it is. So I'm going to put suicide in the columns. I think you could also, again, I'm going to include it in the columns because in the rows we're going to have countries. And as we have so many countries, it is easier to read a table that has like the largest amount of fields in the rows and the smallest in the columns. So I'm going to put suicide in the columns. And then in the rows, since the question is asking me that I need information per country, then in the rows, I'm going to put the countries again. So here is the countries in the rows. And look, I have Colombia because I had done a filter of Colombia. Do you remember that? So I'm going to click on this small arrow and then click select all, and everything is selected now. Okay, I still need the numbers. I haven't put the numbers. So it asked me for the amount of people that were killed. So let's search and kill and drag it to the values field. Okay, here we have. So 0 means non-suicide attacks and 1 means suicide attacks. So I want you to check your numbers. It must be similar. And if they are not similar, then take a look if you have here the sum of and kill. If you have the count of and kill, then you have to change it to the sum of and kill. Okay, so fine. So it's going to ask me, the first question is the general question, how many people died? So how many people died? So I need to have the sum of all the zeros and all the ones, and we have that right here. So the first question asks for these numbers. And then what are the 10 countries with more suicide attacks? So you're going to do exactly the same. You're going to click, I'm going to give you, you should stop the video and try to do it on your own, okay? Okay, now I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to sort by the sum of and kill and in a descending order. Good. So wait 1 second. What is the, I know the question is, what are the 10 countries with more suicide attacks? Suicide. So this option organized or sorted our countries by the grand total, right? The grand total. But I want to know how the table looks like if I organize it in a descending order on these numbers. Okay. So I'm going to do the following. For finding the top 10 countries, click the small filter next to column labels, choose descending and unselect 0. So choose this small arrow right here, click on it. Then we need to organize by the ones, the number ones. And we need to know the descending order of that. Okay? the descending okay, here we have it. We have the sum of n killed and it's organized by the ones. Here we have the ones. Okay. So the question is, what are the 10 countries with more suicide attacks? So here we have it. Select the first 10 and include it in the data in the answer sheet. Now the next question is the following: what is the percentage participation of each country in the amount of people killed in suicide and non-suicide terrorist attacks? Select the top 10 countries. So we now need to change this to percentages, okay? Because now we want to know the percentage. So let's open the tutorial. Now, for finding the percentage participation of each country in the amount of people killed in suicide and non-suicide attacks, then we need to select 0 again, okay? Now we have 0 selected. And now we need to give, instead of these numbers, we need to know percentages. And we need to know percentages of what? So we want to know this 7,517 people here is what percentage of the total, and the total is 21,000, right? Or I need to know this 24,000 of non-suicide attacks is what percentage of the total, and the total is 98,000, right? So I need to give me the percentages of the column total, the percentage of each row of the column total. So I want you to, I'm gonna ask you to click on this small I right here, because the values, these values need to change. So click here. And then we need this to show the data as the percentage, and the percentage of what? I'm sorry, I needed to double check something. Okay. Okay, so okay. So again, we need to find the percentages. So click on the I, then show the data as. So we need to show the data as percentage. And percentage of what? Percentage of column total. Here you have it. Percentage of column total. And we have a lot of other options, many other options. So the percentage of column total. Okay. So here we have it. The percentage of the column total. The columns need to give me 100, right? 100, 100. So now we can answer the question. The question of the answer sheet, which is, what is the percentage participation of each country in the amount of people killed in suicide and non-suicide attacks? Select the top 10 countries. So select the 10 countries and paste this information in the answer sheet. Okay, so we can also see that many people from the first 3 countries. The majority of the terrorist attacks are concentrated in these first 3 countries. Okay, task number 7. Out of all the people killed in suicide attacks around the world, what percentage died in France? So just suicide attacks. We are going to find France here. We are going to click select all. We are going to find France, France, France. Where is France? Here we have France. And no, that didn't work. We're going to select everything again and just look for friends manually. Here we have friends. So friends has 0.45% of all the people that died in suicide attacks. Now we are going to do table number 3, which asks how many people have been killed and wounded by type of weapons. Now the tutorial is not going to include these steps, and the video is not going to include these steps. You should be able to do that on your own and enter here the resulting table and how many killed and wounded from chemical weapons, and you need to include that in this table. And now I want you guys to do your own table. After you are done doing these tables, I want you to create a table of your own that answers a particular question you are interested in. So explain the question, paste the table, and also include a paragraph of the conclusions of the table right here. So this is all the video tutorial. With these steps, you should be able to do the lab. So if you are still having problems, if you have doubts, Maria Camila and I, we are going to be able to help you answering those questions on Tuesday. I'm going to stop share and stop the recording right now.